Hello, everyone. It's been a while. Anyway, welcome back. So, the other type of abuse we don't really talk about yet exists or happens at an alarming rate between and amongst people is the spiritual abuse or the religious abuse. This is a kind of abuse in which an attack is launched on the victim's spiritual life, his or her beliefs, sense of morality, and values. So usually the abuser, how this form of abuse is perpetrated is that the abuser will use scriptural or holy writings to back up whatever they're demanding from their partner. So they manipulate their ways with these people, with the victims. They set unnecessary or unnecessarily high spiritual standard and expect them to meet it. And they manipulate or twist the writings of the religious books to suit them. So they normally set very high moral or spiritual expectations, and then they abuse their partners when he or she cannot meet up with those expectations. So there is usually a lot of self-righteous suffering in such kind of arrangements because if the victim is not aware that she's been spiritually abused, she she's kind of sitting back or holding on to the reasons, the twisted spiritual writings that has been used by the abuser as a backup for whatever abuse they have dished out to them. So they kind of hold on to it and see that yes, there's justice, or there is justice, or basically what you're going through is not so bad. It's actually what they deserve. So the victim, usually their mental health or psychologically are not will I say sane, or maybe not very okay, because they start to see this. Usually these abuses don't really come as abuse. You're abused, the signs are there, the consequences are there and all, but then because it's spiritual, there are so-called, usually so-called proof or backups for these things, so people don't really the victims don't really see or perceive it as an abuse. So, and the abusers go to length, like any length, to make sure that they have their victims pinned down to their dictations, uh and should I say, yeah, dictations, basically, because everything they demand, or their explanation of things, just basically what suits them, basically what favors them, what massage their ego, massage their desires and their selfish interests. And the victims are usually people who are not very learned. They're usually people, especially women, who depend on their men for spiritual guidance, who depend on their men for spiritual explanations of the writings. They don't seek knowledge. So it's usually just what is dished out to them, they take. So these people, these abusers know, so they always come up with different twisted understanding of texts to suit them, and it's always go their way, like it always goes their way. So yes, this is one kind of abuse that we are not really talking about, and it's happening at an alarming rate because people are not aware, the victims are not aware that they're even being abused, and the abusers, even though they are aware, don't intend to stop anytime soon, because there is, like I said, there is an unjustifiable justified reason or backup to have for behaving the way they do. And usually these people have friends or communities they belong, communities of like minds, friends of like mind, or even spiritual leaders who also share the same understanding or ideology with them in their twisting of the writings. So usually there is no one for the victim to really walk up and talk to, because the friends or even the community you may want to walk up to and talk to about what's happening to you, which you don't find funny, are usually like I said, like mind to the abusers, usually, not in all cases, but more often than not. So usually when they get there and they explain the agitation and everything, um what they get is just goes further to strengthen the fact that yes, what's happening to them is not so bad, so they even try to bring even more proofs, more backups to justify what's happening to them. So there is this usually smeared campaign. I don't know how to explain it. That a certain community that the abuser belongs, they're kind of like-minded. So and reporting to this community or friends or family, even sometimes, eventually just end up turning against her whenever she asks for help. So spiritual abuse or religious abuse is usually so much undermined, but the effects are always there. The there is just a lot that these people have to deal with. They have low self-esteem. They start to question their spiritual strength, their spiritual values, their morality, amongst other things. So one very common word that these abusers misuse or abuse, or basically just use out of context and explain it to their satisfaction, and just basically explain it in the way it's going to suit them, or in a way they're going to get what they demand from these people. That's one word that is commonly misused, is submission. Yes. So submission is a word that is commonly misused by these spiritual or religious abusers. They find text or writings from the spiritual books, from the holy books, and they explain it according to what suits them, or according to what will give them the upper hand in manipulating or controlling their partner or children or whoever the victim may happen to be. So and usually they also try to cut their victims off from any support that he or she can get, usually spiritual support, or anyone who basically can make them realize that what they are being fed, or what they are being told, or the explanation they are being given, or the direction they are being given, and the backups are not really the way it originally is. It's actually taken out of context. So the moment this kind of signal that okay, this person has this could have this influence on this person, they also come up with another text to make them to cut these people off, because they don't want these people to ever see the light. They don't want them to know that yes, they're really being abused. And then the circle just the circle goes on and on just like that. So these spiritual abusers, or should I say religious abusers, also believe that um, relationship should be saved. Or let me be specific here and say marriage. Yes, that marriage should be saved. So they also have these back up the spiritual twisted writings, or twisted on explanation or understanding of theirs, that they use to explain why you must remain in the union, in the marriage, so to say. So you can't leave. There is so much sin attached to getting out and all of that. So these are just their own ways of making sure that their manipulation and abuse goes on for as long as possible. You don't suspect. They kill your self-esteem. They kill your they kill you emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. They kill you in so many ways, yet you're unsuspecting. And then they come up with another backup to make sure that you continue to live in that situation without seeking a way out, because to you is the best and there is so much honor in it for you. So they usually have these valid reasons, valid backups and justification for things they do. And they always, like I said, twist the religious texts or writings to suit themselves. So the victims end up feeling shame, guilty, because they can't fix what's happening, and at the same time they can't get out because it has been explained that it's better to stay, and what they are going through doesn't seem to be a problem because it's already made to look like an ideal thing they should be going through. It's really tough. It's really one of the abuses I feel we should come out to talk about more, because it's killing a lot of people and there is so much silence on it. And usually when people come out to talk about it, those people are seen as less spiritual, less religious, feminist, and all other names you can think of out there. People just try to attach something, maybe not so positive in their own understanding, to these things. But it's really something we need to come out and talk about, because even if you're not a victim, it could be your friend, someone you care about, your daughter, your sister, just basically someone you really care deeply about. So this is a kind of abuse that we need to look inward. We need to look into. We need to discuss. We need to bring to the table and discuss. We need to read about. We need to study about, to make sure that you do not become that abuser, and also to make sure that you do not allow yourself to become the victim. Thank you so much for listening. And the next time when you hear from me will be the third type of abuse that we don't really talk about yet. It's increasingly and alarmingly happening out there. Until next time, I say stay safe.